everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Kim. This is the Coffee and Craft, not a podcast, because somebody mentioned that in order for something to be a podcast, it has to be something that works as audio only, and this, I tend to need your attention sometimes, so it's going to be more vlog style this month. I say more vlog style because there's still going to be a lot of talking head stuff, but for those who are new here, hi. Once a month, I post a coffee and craft thing. It's a video where I share all of the makes and whips that I've made over the past month. I talk about any newsy stuff that might be of interest to you and with regards to my business and just online handmade business stuff. And then I usually finish it off with a bit of a meatier topic, but this month we're doing a Q&A, and I put the feelers out both on Instagram and here on YouTube asking for questions, and questions I got. So I will be answering those later on in the video. But if I am going to make this a more vloggy style video, then vlog law dictates that I start by showing you me making a drink. So considering this is the coffee and craft thing, let's start by making a coffee, shall we? Yes, let's. Come with. Nice, very nice. Okay, makes and whips for August. This shouldn't take too long because I didn't really make much. In fact, makes, definitely, there's nothing, nada, zilch. Dim bead. But what I do have, no, that was last time. I showed you that lot last time. I've got some more granny squares for my cardigan. I've managed to try and avoid doing too many orange ones. The reason being though, the reason why I didn't make too much was because I was really going all in with work, and my daughter was on holiday this month. My husband was home for half of it. So it's been a thing. And because August is usually a quieter month, I decided to lean into YouTube and make extra videos, which was really fun. It was really fun to push myself out of my my little bubble and see what I could do. That's done now, so there won't be an extra video this week, just to let you know. I was only doing that for the month of August. I've also been starting work on what I'm showing you is some fabric that I've painted up, which eventually, is that the back or is that the front? That's the back. There's fabric, is what I'm trying to tell you. Some of this needs some extra paint and embroidery, and also making into bags. I am behind on that. I know, me, behind on stuff. Surely not. Does my collaboration with Cara Bunting count as a make? Is that stretching it just a little bit too far? It's stretching it a little bit too far. I was busy. I was very busy, which is why I haven't really created much, and I'm feeling it because whenever I don't get to play with new mediums and just make things for myself, not just for the shop, that tends to be when I start to get cranky and stuff. And if you're a member of my channel, you will know from this morning's weekly check-in that I was cranky. So yeah, I've been mainly focusing on the channel and keeping that ticking over, and the shop, but that's since I got the most of the pivot items up in the shop, that is actually the ball has started rolling, and pretty consistently. It's taken me by surprise actually, but I'm making a stats video on that next week, so I'll talk more about that then. It was difficult to get a routine and keep the routine and keep filming content with Dan and Leslie around. Oh, speaking of Dan though, this isn't my make, but I've got to show you something, because although it's not my make, I'm very proud of it. 1 second. So ignore my tripod. Dan has made me a brand new thread storage. So my previous one was like 1, 2, 3, just like there. It's half the size of that. It was very small and I couldn't fit nearly as much thread on it, and it just meant that I didn't know what I had. So he's doubled it up, and I spent so much time yesterday mucking about trying to get the thread colours just so. But it's pretty cool. He boy done good there. Okay, so yes, not my make, but I'm sharing it because it's a thing of beauty and I'm very proud of him. Thanks, bud. Right, news. Okay, I will start with my news, and the biggest one is that I have created a brand new YouTube channel. It's called, what's it called? It's called Beech Handmade. I'll link to it in the description. There's nothing actually there yet because I haven't had the time with the family around to sit down and stitch something, and because these are going to be long form stitch along videos, I need to be able to sit down uninterrupted and stitch. Keyword being uninterrupted there. So I'm going to wait until my daughter goes back to school next week, and then I'm going to start creating content for that. So yes, if long form rambly stitch along videos are your cup of tea, feel free to go down and subscribe to it, or you can just wait until I've actually got something up there. I'll let you all know. But either way, it's there, it's ready. I am very, very excited for that. And in case you missed it, I did my first collaboration this month, which was a bit of a surprise because I started off the month thinking it was going to look a certain way, and I ended the month having done a whole lot more. The collaboration being one of those things, and it was so much fun to do. I was able to get a little silly with it. For those of you who didn't see it, it was with Cara Bunting. We were talking about one of a kind. It was like a reaction style thing. So she was talking about one of a kind vintage items, and I was talking about one of a kind handmade, and we each gave our take on that and then reacted to it. And I dressed up in a vintage wedding dress because what's the point of having a vintage wedding dress if you can't try it on? So that's my news. Regular news, there's not much going on that I can think of. And so endeth the news. No, not endeth the news. One more. I mentioned this in the previous coffee and craft chat. Here in the UK, we are experiencing the postal strikes that I mentioned in my previous video. At the time of filming, it is Monday. There's going to be one this Friday and again on Thursday and Friday next week. So if you're watching this more than 2 weeks into the future, ignore this. It doesn't affect anybody. If you're watching this within 2 weeks of it being posted, then as a UK seller, it will affect you. And if you buy from someone within the UK, it will affect how quickly or not that you get your order. And so endeth the news, for real. Which actually leads me quite nicely into the next vloggy bit, because I have an order that I have to get out myself today. So let's go do that, shall we? Okay, we are back. I am up to date with my orders. It's a good feeling. Got another coffee, and now for the meaty part of the video, which is the question and answer section. And I've got them down here. There's quite a few, so I'll try not to be too waffly. This is me, so we'll see how we go. Also, my daughter has her friend over for a play date. They are upstairs, and it's making the dog bark. So if you hear him in the background, ignore him. I am. All right then, let's just dump. No, let's not do that. Let's just jump in. How do you switch off from Etsy? I feel like it's taking over my life. I am constantly checking my phone, even in the middle of the night. How do I switch off from Etsy? Well, make yourself a YouTube channel and then get distracted by that and all of the millions of stats that tell you how good or badly your videos are doing. That'll do it. I don't have that problem with Etsy. I do have that problem with YouTube. There's no easy way around it. Well, actually there is. I have an app blocker. What is it called? It's called App Block. That's what it says in the tin. And I have it so that it blocks my YouTube Studio app during the day so that I am not constantly checking it. But the same could be applied to the Etsy app. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's no easy answer to it. Try not to let it take over your head, because it really isn't worth it. I love Etsy as a platform, but it's a tool, and it's definitely not worth all of your energy and all of your thought. It's definitely not. Okay, how do you feel about auditing Etsy accounts? I think you'll be a champ. Aww, that's really, really sweet. Have I thought about auditing Etsy accounts? Yes. Have I decided to do it? No. And here's why. There is a massive difference between knowing what you should do to run a successful shop and also knowing what a good shop should look like and doing it. And I don't do it. In fact, this video was not the video that I was going to post today. The video that I was going to post was sharing with you some mistakes that I make currently in my Etsy shop, knowingly. Not necessarily willingly, but knowingly. Why? Because I either cannot be bothered to do the work or I don't have the time to do the work. So it feels a tad hypocritical for me to go, oh, okay, well, if you want to make more sales, you need to do this, when I myself may not be doing it too. Does that make sense? Yes, I hope so. So yes, thank you very much. That has given my ego a bit of a boost. Did you ever work together with another artist? Does Cara count? He does count. She's a creator, darling. Fellow YouTuber. So only Cara, actually. I haven't worked with anybody else to physically make items to sell in the shop. Next question. Is your bestseller a physical or digital product? If it is physical, is it one of a kind? My bestseller is... They are physical and they are not one of a kind. I know bringing Cara's video up again, I know we were talking about one of a kind items, but the people who've been following me for a little while on this channel will know now that I've been trying to pivot my shop from not just one of a kind items, but more evergreen products that I can make again and again and again for the exact reasons that we both mentioned in our videos. And that is that it's trickier. So while I'm not stopping making one of a kind items, I'm trying to inject some more evergreen items into the shop so that it can keep the sales coming in slightly regularly. Tomorrow you are about to open your first online store, but with the knowledge you have now, A, would it be an Etsy store? Yes. Or another platform? No, I'd stick with Etsy. What things would you do differently with hindsight? Bloody good question. It would be an Etsy store because, well, it would be an Etsy store if I was still trying to sell handmade. If I was trying to sell another kind of a product like reselling other items, I would stay clear of Etsy. You all know my opinions on that. If I was trying to sell, unless of course it was supplies, for example, that's cool. But certain niches do better on other platforms. And for handmade, which is what I would be doing, I would still find Etsy to be the best one by far. What was the other part to the question? I've already forgotten. What things would you do differently with hindsight? Well, I opened my shop in 2007 and I turned it into a proper business in 2013, which was nearly 10 years ago. Wow. So a lot. I would do a lot differently because Etsy is a different thing now than it was then. And what worked then would not work now. You could get organic traffic and organic sales without having to bring your own traffic to Etsy and right from the get-go, which theoretically you could still do now, but it's a lot harder. You have to start by driving your own traffic to get the algorithm's attention so that then the organic traffic and organic sales can start. And it's like a snowball that once you get it rolling, it builds momentum and gets bigger and bigger and easier. But it is really, really tough in the beginning unless you have a complete unicorn of an item or you have an established audience and or business to bring with you from the get-go, which is very unusual. If I was to start completely from scratch, I would do what I did in the very beginning, which is I would let all of my circle of friends and family know that I'd started up a shop, and if they wanted to buy something or if they knew of anybody who might be interested, to help me get the word out there. That's excruciating because it means you have to be seen and you have to put yourself out there. And sometimes it's easier to do that with complete strangers on the internet than it is with people you know in real life. But to get yourself going, sometimes you need to invite the people that you know in real life to buy from you. Also, shouting about it on social media. You knew I was going to say that because everybody says it, but it's true. It's basically whatever tool that you have at your disposal, you need to talk about your thing, and you need to talk about your thing often because people will forget and they will need quite a few reminders of your thing before they might even place an order. So that's what I would do, which actually isn't very different to what I did in the early days. I think I would just be more persistent with it. I would start my mailing list up earlier. If I could go back and do anything differently, I would have started this channel. I thought YouTube was a bit of a joke, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think that's what I would do. I would start a YouTube channel from the get-go, start a mailing list from the get-go, and I would be more persistent and more consistent with my posting. Is that 3 things or 4 things? I think that's 3. There you go. How was that? All right, where are we? Like this one. How difficult is it to run an Etsy shop without a printer? I can't really justify buying one until I've actually sold something. I hate printers. I need one. I could not run my business without one. I hate them though. I swear there's a little gremlin in every single one of them that's just like, shall we work today? Nah. Let us shout and swear at us for a little bit and then we'll think about it. But that's by the by. When I first started my business, I didn't have a printer either. And at the very beginning, I guess you can get away without one. I mean, think about what you would use it for. I personally use mine for mailing labels and for for creating all of my patterns and my patches. So it's essential. But if all you would use it for mailing labels, well, one, you can write them out by hand. If you're selling internationally, you need to fill in custom forms, but you can buy those as stickers or you can just get them from the post office. So not a big deal. You can just write them out. It takes a little longer. And if that starts to be a bit of a faff, you can invest in a little label printer. You don't have to buy the big shebang with a scanner that refuses to work and stuff. You can invest in that nightmare later. But honestly, it really does depend on what you would use it for, and if mailing labels is the only thing, you'll be all right for a little while. Loved your collab with Cara. Have you got any more lined up? Thank you. Like I said, I really enjoyed making that one. She is a hoot. Yeah, I love her sense of humour. And I love Tessie as well, even though I low-key am also petrified of her. Would I do any more collaborations? Absolutely, but it would have to be with the right person. I haven't got any plans for any more simply because It's coming up to the end of the summer holidays and I feel like I need a holiday from the summer holidays. I need to be able to take my foot off the brake a little bit. So at least for the foreseeable future, I am trying to tone down the work. Hence why I'm not going to be doing 2 videos a week from September onwards, because I need a break. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. How long did your Etsy shop take to get moving with regular orders? Did you ever pay for footfall at the beginning especially, or did it take YouTube to really get going with it? That came, regular orders now, not my first order, but regular orders came 6 months or just under a year after opening my Etsy shop. Bearing in mind this was a good 9-10 years ago, so it's not the same thing as now, but it still took time to get the ball rolling so that I was getting consistent sales. And I think a lot of that wasn't just because Etsy had to figure out what it was that I did, and it was also me learning that I had to sell myself more, and I really got in my way there. I could have made things so much easier for myself if, like I said earlier, I showed up more consistently and got my mailing list together and all of the rest of that gumph. If I had attacked it properly from the get-go, I think it would have happened sooner, but it still took time, and I think if I was to start all over again right now, it would take time again. A lot of people don't like to be told that you have to drive your own traffic to Etsy. They think it shouldn't be like that, but welcome to the internet. It's a saturated place everywhere now. Did you ever pay for footfall at the beginning? No. No, that's not true. I did try ads once. It didn't work. And obviously, again, ads were a completely different ball game back then, but I found that it brought in a lot more visits to my shop, but they didn't convert into sales, and that wasn't worth it for me. I just thought, well, I'm not paying for extra visits, I'm paying for sales, and if I'm not actually getting any, then ads aren't the answer, because obviously there was something there that was wrong. There was something stopping people from actually making the purchase. Now that could have been the item itself, it could have been postage, it could have been reviews, it could have been my photo, it could have been a number of things. People were visiting my shop, but they weren't going all of the way. Ads wasn't going to change that. And this is the thing, ads is not a magic answer for sales. It might help you get more traffic, but if there's something wrong with the item, with the postage, with the shop, with anything else, people might just drop off. So for me, I had a very, very limited budget. I didn't want to blow it on ads. So I think I only tried it for a month or 2. And then I was like, nah, not for me. And I haven't touched them since. Okay. Or did it take YouTube to really get going with the shop? I have mentioned this before. YouTube has taken my shop to another level, but not by itself. And I do want to say this, YouTube itself is not a magic solution to sales either. It definitely helps with footfall. I am definitely getting more visits because of YouTube, but it didn't always convert into sales. I used to share my YouTube, I used to share my Etsy shop on my YouTube channel last year, right at the start and before that, and it just didn't convert. I'd get the visits, but I didn't get the sales. It was only when I pivoted my products and what I offered that all of a sudden the people watching my videos kind of merged with my customers, if that makes sense. Basically, it comes down to your products. If you haven't got a product that anybody wants, no one's going to buy it, full stop. That's, in a neat little nutshell, that's the honest truth. I have purposefully worked really bloody hard these past few months on pivoting my items so that they would appeal to more people and that they would appeal to people who also watched my YouTube channel, because I decided that I wanted to create another YouTube channel. I wanted to do this for a very long time for my stitch alongs that I could then link to my Etsy shop, and the two could support one another, merge, work together. You get my drift. Okay, there's a few more. Legal stuff. Do small businesses need insurance? Worst case scenario's brain here. Ooh, I am not a legal professional. I will say it will depend on what you sell and which country you are in. I personally don't need insurance to sell what I sell here in the UK. But then if I was to sell food, for example, there are things that I would need to do to be able to create that food in my house and sell it. And likewise, if you are in another country, I think in the US, you might need permits or something. Again, don't ask me. I don't know. I am not American. I know, shocking. I sound so American too. So yeah, I, I don't know. I can't really answer because I don't know what you do. I'm going to say no, maybe not, maybe that you do. I don't know. I would suggest speaking to a qualified legal professional. There you go. Sorry. How do you know if your items are good enough to sell? Oh, I'm about to set up a shop. This is a good question. How do you know if your items are good enough to sell? Well, isn't that the ultimate question there? Never go onto somewhere like Instagram and say, would you buy this? And show a picture of your item, because everybody will say yes, and then you'll put it up and then there will be crickets. People are so polite and they are so lovely, and they will be like, it's amazing, even if they're like, but I wouldn't buy it. Don't try and find out that way. It never bloody works. It seems a bit oversimplistic to ask, would you buy it? But would you buy it? Because I have made quite a few things in the past that I have loved making and I've thought they were the best of, but if I had been asked to buy it, I would have been like, no, thank you. So there's an element of being really self-aware and honest there. Also, you need to think about things like, who's your competition? Who are you up against? If somebody can go to a shop in the high street and buy the same thing, they're going to do that. So don't ever try and compete with the high street. It's not going to work. And then you've also got to look on the platforms that you're selling on. In this case, we'll say Etsy. And you've got to see who else is selling on there and how you can stand out. I'm not going to give the advice of look at what your competition is doing and be inspired, because that drives me bloody crazy. Ignore what your competition is doing. How can you be different? How can you be better? Try and separate yourself from the crowd. If you're just going to copy what they're doing in any way, shape or form, you're just going to be part of the crowd. You're going to be an echo, and it's going to be even harder for you to make sales. You have to be different. I feel like I say that a lot. How do you know if your item is good enough to sell? People buy it. You can research the product until you are blue in the face. At the end of the day, it all comes down to whether or not you make sales. And I would suggest just putting it up, because if you put it up for what costs you 20p on Etsy for 4 months, and that's 4 months where you get to see how people interact with it. If people are visiting it, clicking on it, favoriting it, people are liking it. And then you get to see then if anybody's adding it to their cart. If they're not, you might need to tweak prices, or, if you're just starting, you might need to get that initial feedback and stuff. Don't overthink it. Just try, because so many people want to get it right from the get-go, and that's such a killer. Just don't be afraid to experiment. Throw some spaghetti at the wall. Some things are going to tank. That's okay. That's how you learn. I have never failed at anything or tanked hard at anything and not come away without learning something really valuable that's enabled me to get further and raise the bar a little bit further down the line. So don't be afraid to mess up. I hope that makes sense, Olivia. I think I've reached the point now where I'm not making much sense in my head, so I'm just going to crack on and just hope that this works out. I'll know when it comes to editing it. How long is too long without sales? My summer slump is still going. Again, it depends on what you sell and where you are. I mean, here in the UK, hey, things are interesting, aren't they? But then again, I look at the news sometimes and I think, no, they're interesting everywhere. Everybody is having their level of interesting at the moment. A summer slump will last as long as it lasts, and it's at the time of filming, it's still the summer. I mean, the summer, people are spending their money, but they're spending it on different things. So if you're selling something that is seasonal-ish or just doesn't do very well in the summer, you might have to wait until September when people are not in holiday mode anymore, and then focusing on Christmas, which people already are, FYI, just to let you know, people are already buying for Christmas. How do I know that? Might have bought my first Christmas present the other week in the middle of August. There is no answer to that. There is no, this is too long. You know if it's too long for you, and it sounds like you are sick to death of not making any sales. I'm going to do a video about how I pivoted my items, because I think there's a lot to unpack there. But basically, you need to have some evergreen items that are as close to a need item as you can get. Because if you are selling want items, it's going to be harder to sell to people when money is tight. So they have to justify it more. And if you can just pivot it to more of a need. Now, obviously, fundamentally, our needs are a roof over our head, food, warmth, that sort of thing. So not a lot of the things that we sell on Etsy fall into the category of a straightforward need, but you can make them. I mean, Cara did a video on it and she referred to them, I can't remember what the word she used. It's justified want. Essentially, it was a justified want. It's like it's a want item, but you can justify it in your head as being a need. Again, that doesn't make much sense, but that was behind my entire pivot. And I tried to make as many of my items something that people could find a genuine use for, not just something that they want, but a genuine use. So I tried to pivot them as much to a need item as I could. I hope that makes sense. Right, I do apologise. I realise that the answers to these questions have been very, very rambly. If you made it to the end, oh my goodness, thank you. You are the best. And I will see you next week, hopefully, with a stats video. And I will take you into my stats and we'll do the usual gubbins. If I haven't bored the pants off you, then give this video a like. And if you haven't liked it, don't. That's fine. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.